This spring marks the 2-year anniversary of the historic flooding of the Hay River in the Northwest Territories. And for residents, the road to recovery is ongoing.
The house is shifting. So these big beams here are moving every once in a while when it warms up.
Karen Flecker didn't have house insurance on Vail Island in the town of Hay River. Instead, she solely relied on territorial disaster relief contractors. But many people APTN spoke with here said the contract company did insufficient work before ultimately going bankrupt.
Very poorly done. You could tell it was rushed. It was time limited. I couldn't be on them all the time to go check to see whether or not they were doing the scope of work that they're supposed to.
The circumstances aren't uncommon. Some houses were deemed ineligible for insurance because they reside on a floodplain. Flecker rents a house to her daughter Ashley Flecker in nearby West Point First Nation. The community of 75 was severely affected from flooding.
It's very traumatizing, like coming back and like having to see like all the damage that was done and like the things that were lost.
The same contractors were tasked with repairs on Flecker's home, but according to the disaster relief funding, the case is closed.
Oh, I have a list of problems since the flood inside anyways.
Cracked seams and cupboards being torn away from walls from a constantly shifting home. Meanwhile, the federal government is promising more than $1.16 million in funding to better protect the west channel of Hay River. This will include the critical rebuild of berms. Across the river on N.W.T First Nation, Agnes Fabian was working in British Columbia during the flood, so the band helped her gut the house, but it remains uninhabitable now. With nowhere to go and long housing wait lists, she lives with her elderly mother.
Like if I was to walk in there now, because the basement was gutted and the main foundation is so unsteady, you could actually feel the house shifting as you walk through the home.
Many residents around here are still displaced, living in hotels, including KFN's chief, April Martel. She says while the reserve deals with Canada directly, they were originally receiving disaster relief funding from the territorial government, but it's complicated.
I told Canada and I explained to N.W.T, I'm like, you know, our people have been living in these homes for so long that, you know, and you didn't properly assess the homes. Like the N.W.T got a third party to do the assessment of our homes on KFN and it wasn't properly assessed.
She said the N.W.T's third-party contractors didn't work out for the 60 houses damaged from the flood. But there is progress. The band has taken back control of renovations and repairs with a new builder. Pads are being laid and new houses are going up to replace those lost from flooding and the 2023 wildfires on KFN.
It's really good to see them like arriving in the community internally. Like there's a lot of work to make sure that before they move in, they have their furniture, they have their washers and dryers, they have their, they have a kit, and when they get home, then we have to bring like mental awareness and bring somebody in there to talk to them. And
territorial after-action reviews for the Decho flood of 2021 and the South Slave flood of 2022 take up to 2 years to complete. The government says they are currently seeking feedback on recovery from the Hay River flood for a report to be released this fall.
We've noticed that the public needs a bit more clarity on what an evacuation notice means and what they should be doing when there's a notice issued, likewise for the alert and the order as well.
Charlotte Mort Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.